In the winter of 1191, the fields of Tarain were scattered with the debris of a shattered army. Prithviraj Chauhan and his Rajput forces had completely routed the invading Ghori Empire. It was a crushing, absolute victory. Across North India, this triumph cemented Prithviraj Chauhan's reputation as an untouchable military commander. His camp basked in the glory of the win, assuming the threat from the west was permanently eliminated. But the invading commander, Muhammad Ghori, had barely escaped the slaughter. He rode back west with his life, carrying a deep, obsessive humiliation. A massive win on the battlefield often acts as a narcotic. It creates a dangerous complacency, blinding the victors to the very real possibility that their enemy is already planning a return. Over the next 12 months, the Rajput leadership leaned into their traditional methods of warfare. They relied on the same heavy cavalry and direct combat tactics that had won them the first battle, doing little to prepare for an evolved threat. Meanwhile, in the harsh mountains of Afghanistan, Ghori stripped his defeat down to its core components. He relentlessly analyzed exactly why his lines had broken at Tarain. He purchased faster horses, drilled his men in new maneuvering techniques, and recruited a massive fresh force of 120,000 soldiers. Ghori bypassed simple numerical superiority by engineering a highly specialized military force, tailored specifically to exploit the blind spots of Rajput battlefield tradition. In 1192, exactly 1 year later, the two armies marched back to the exact same field at Tarain. The Rajput military doctrine of the time relied heavily on massed formations. Their strength lay in devastating frontal cavalry charges, armored war elephants, and close-quarters combat driven by personal valor. Ghori knew that if he engaged in a direct head-to-head clash against these heavy defensive lines, his smaller, lighter forces would be crushed a second time. This diagram demonstrates the severe disadvantage of a smaller, mobile force attempting a direct frontal assault on a massive, heavy infantry line. To counter this, Ghori introduced a tactic known as the feigned retreat. The rules of engagement had shifted. The battlefield was now an arena for psychological manipulation, where the cold logic of tactical discipline would take precedence over raw bravery. As the battle began, Ghori deployed his fast, mounted archers. These agile units would break off, ride close enough to shower the Rajput lines with arrows, and then immediately flee back away from the front. Driven by a cultural emphasis on immediate retaliation and battlefield honor, the Rajput soldiers broke their heavy defensive formations to aggressively chase down the fleeing archers. The massive, cohesive line began to stretch out. This pursuit continued for hours. By the end of a grueling day of chasing phantom enemies, the heavily armored Rajput soldiers were physically exhausted. Meanwhile, Ghori had kept his main infantry force entirely untouched in reserve. Sensing the fatigue in the fractured enemy lines, Ghori finally unleashed those fresh, rested reserves right into the disorganized Rajput formations. The defensive structure collapsed. The battle ended in a complete rout, and Prithviraj Chauhan was captured. While later romantic epics claim he assassinated Ghori years later with a blindfolded arrow, the historical record confirms that Chauhan's reign ended here at Tarain. The feigned retreat proved highly effective. Calculated deception and careful energy management easily dismantled predictable brute strength. The defeat at Tarain reached far beyond the casualties on the field. It effectively decapitated Rajput military supremacy in the region. This map shows the collapse of the traditional political barrier that had long protected North India. With that defensive perimeter gone, a power vacuum opened, allowing Turkic influence to expand outward and quickly engulf major power centers like Delhi and Ajmer. To consolidate these territorial gains, Ghori left his trusted general, Qutbuddin Aibak, in charge of holding and expanding the newly conquered lands. This change in tactical logic on the battlefield effectively redrew the administrative map of the entire subcontinent. Aibak's administration quickly moved from conquest to governance, laying the administrative and architectural groundwork for what would officially become the Delhi Sultanate, a shift physically embodied by towering monuments like the Qutub Minar. Because of the sheer scale of the political changes that followed, the Second Battle of Tarain in 1192 stands out as a defining pivot point in Indian history. Ultimately, Tarain remains the definitive case study of how a single year of analytical preparation can dismantle centuries of military tradition.